is going on, everybody? Welcome back from the holidays. My name is Brett. It is episode 972 of Pop Culture Crisis, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, crisis actors. What's up? Happy New Year. We are back for 2026. I'm not quite sure what kind of energy we're bringing to 2026 yet. What do you think, Brett? Like, what kind of energy are you bringing to this year?
Well, it's me, so it's manic energy, as always.
Manic energy?
Always.
Okay, I did release my official ins and outs list of 2026 because I'm so important. And I actually just want to real quick gauge your take on some of these.
Go for it. Let me know.
Posted it on my X and Instagram as well. So ins for 2026 include breaking the fourth wall, pregnant pauses, vodka cranberry, parasols, dog ear bookmarking, very controversial, carrying cash, running errands, wearing a long sleeve shirt under a t-shirt.
That means you like core. That means you liked music in the early 2000s. That's what
yes. Yeah. Back when people said the word poser.
Yes.
That's another one I'll add. Asymmetry, mirth, the Orient, LARPing, hand-me-downs, candescent light bulbs, paywalls, repeating outfits, and the outs for 2026 involve just asking questions, oat milk, emails, having a bedtime, nonchalance, nootropics, probiotic soda, talking stages, DoorDash, boundaries, screenshots of Reddit or screenshots of tweets, flipping the iPad, and eyelash extensions.
There's so many.
And I'm going to be expanding both of these lists as the year goes on and my perspective evolves. But yeah, just if you had any thoughts on that, any recommendations, let me know.
There were so many in there. I don't
There's
even know
a lot to take in.
I
know it's kind of overwhelming.
Like there was like 30 things there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a deep thinker. What can I say?
Like what? Okay, give me some of the ins again.
Okay, so one of them was wearing a long sleeve long sleeve under a t-shirt. Would you do that?
I don't do that personally, but because growing up skating, lots of people did that, but I did not do that.
It's a big recommend. Dog ear bookmarking. I used to be strongly opposed to it, but now I feel like it's necessary because you're putting your own personal mark on this book that you own and you're not trying to preserve it to, like, I don't know, sell it or something. It's like, why does it matter how it looks to anyone else? You're doing it for you.
I'll tell you why. So what it's going to do is it's going to tell everybody in the world how often you are either A, interrupted, or B, didn't have the attention span to keep reading, right? It becomes like an archaeological dig. They're like, oh my gosh, they're like every 10 pages.
Maybe it's good to document that just for the purposes of keeping yourself in check.
Let's face it, you're not selling that. You're not selling that book. It's going to the Goodwill, or you're keeping it.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's going to care. And parasols, because we're all protecting ourselves from the UV rays in 2026. This is very important.
I'm not doing that. That's
kind of more for the girlies.
Yeah.
Carrying cash. I mean, they stopped minting pennies. We're in dire straits right now, so we really need to start carrying cash.
Every business is fighting for their lives without pennies right now. At least every of the very, very like high-end establishments I mainstream, like the Dollar General and the Dollar Tree. Pretty much all the dollar stores are like, bro, we're fighting for our lives. We got no pennies.
Yeah, it's a deadly serious situation. So I do recommend carrying cash.
Okay. All right. Guys, we've got a bunch of stuff to get into today. Before we get started, I do want to address something. We put a poll up, ladies and gentlemen. Do you do New Year's resolutions? You should answer that. Do you do New Year's resolutions? You should answer if you are watching this show live. Yeah. Also, we've got a $20 super chat there.
Also, well, I don't see it yet. I don't think it's populated.
Oh, okay.
Here.
I'll read it here. This is from earlier. This is from Shane H. Wilder. He says, "Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. I hope you guys had a great Christmas and New Year. I got to go to the Sistine Chapel experience, a Vatican-approved gallery with a 2-scale room with the inside of the chapel projected on the walls and the ceiling."
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it was probably lit well compared to the actual Sistine Chapel, because from what I recall, I was there in the late afternoon and I could barely see a thing, and it was crowded to the gills. Like, I could barely breathe. And in typical Italian fashion, nobody was willing to get in a single file line. So we literally, if there were a fire in there, like, everyone would die.
Just mentioning
awesome.
Italian, just mentioning Italians, you started talking with your hands. I appreciate that.
I actually have 0 Italian blood, so I don't know where that came from. Maybe
I'm a
Irish in me.
Yeah.
The Irish in me, like, I mean, Irish people are just louder. They're not more like physically expressive. But anyway, there was another thing I wanted to mention before we get started. Actually, I have a little bit of cultural commentary on Disney.
Go for
because
it.
I went to see Zootopia 2 in theaters. I know, like, no one cares because it came out, like, what did you say, 4 weeks ago?
It's a while ago now.
Yeah, but I just, wanted to watch it yesterday. It was a down, like, day. I just had nothing better to do. So, and I also didn't want to watch Marty Supreme because I don't want to watch, Timothy Chalamet and Gwyneth Paltrow going at it. Like, that's not really what I wanted to see on a Sunday, on the Lord's Day. So I went to Zootopia. And I hadn't seen the first one. I still have not seen the first one. I don't think you need to understand the second one. But basically, the entire movie is self-defeating. Like, it defeats the entire moral of the story for the children, which is that all of these different species in Zootopia can get along and put their differences aside. Mm-hmm. Like, we can all look past our differences. It's a very thinly veiled allegory for, like, racism and bigotry, obviously. And this, the bunny and the fox, they're these buddy cops, and they've put their differences aside to solve the cases. And, they struggle with finding out if they're too different to work together. Anyway, they discover that this evil family of lynxes, like the mountain cats, mm-hmm. are running Zootopia. They have a secret cabal, and they have falsified the town history to take credit for founding the weather technology that actually snakes created, and they've spread false propaganda to propagate prejudice against reptiles.
I always suspected.
So, they're fighting against the lynxes and trying to expose the truth of their history. And in the process, the bunny teams up with a supposedly defected lynx cat. He's, like, trying to rebel against his family.
So it's like the Tulsi Gabbard of lynxes.
Yeah, he's rebelled against his family. He's trying to help them in their cause. But then they find out he was faking it all along for his dad's approval.
He's a spy.
And he wants to, he was a spy working against his family, or no, against Zootopia for his family the whole time. He was a double agent. So, then they say, no, like, look, you can be different. You can do the right thing even though you're a lynx. And he says, I don't want to be different. And then he just is evil. And I was like, wait a minute. Doesn't this completely neutralize the moral that they're trying to impart on the children watching this movie, which is that we can all look past our differences and sometimes work against our differences? Like,
only if you're willing to.
But the lynxes are just naturally evil. Like, they just are. And they can't do anything to change it. They're just evil.
It's kind of like how in Harry Potter Slytherins are just evil. Like, they're not, but they are, mm-hmm. Like, you just accept that they, like, if somebody's a dick, they're likely a Slytherin.
Right. Like, if they're trying to, okay. Also, I didn't like that the characters are just animals for no reason. Like, in other Disney movies or kids movies with anthropomorphic characters, they tend to be animals for a reason. Like Ratatouille, like, he's a rat for a reason in the movie. Like, it matters that he's a rat. In this one, they're just animals because, I don't know, kids like animals. It's just stupid. And nobody is going to remember this movie. Like, nobody is going to fondly look back on this movie as, like, a nostalgic piece of their childhood. And I'm not saying that because I'm Unk, I swear. It's just not good. It, like, was very boring and kind of a slog to get through. And they even did a callback to Ratatouille and The Shining, which was weird. But it's just unfortunate. Like, the kids these days are not going to grow up with the kind of stories that I had or that you had.
I mean, they don't.
It's very.
It doesn't really matter though. For
Even
them,
the animation,
yeah.
like if you compare the animation from 2006 to the animation in now 2026, there's very little improvement, if any. I even noticed some parts where the characters' mouths were not really moving correctly for the lines they were delivering. It was kind of shoddy animation, even.
It's funny too because 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. Maybe that's, I think 600 million of that is in China. So maybe they just really like the lynxes over there.
People love the slop. We have another 20 from Shane. It was easy to see everything. It was dark to project the Sistine Chapel in the room. It was my Christmas present to my mom. We were the only ones there. They even got the Vatican approval for the music and birds chirping.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's great. So guys, again, before we get started, you should go back if you haven't been, checking out the channel because you weren't sure if we were going to be live again. I worked a bunch during the first. I took the first week of the break off. Obviously, it was Christmas. We went to visit Olivia's family. We had a great time, and then the second week, I came in on Monday, and our sound mixer, finally bit the dust. Taps played on the. Because that has been the mixer in the studio. Well, it didn't even start in the studio. That was the mixer that was originally used on Timcast IRL when the show started back at the castle. And there was a transformer went down out here, and it was the one piece of tech that I left on, and it exploded.
R.I.P.
It ripped.
We'll call her Old Bessie. How about that?
She suffered a sad death, but she served us well. But you should go and check out the channel. I was putting out content all week last week. Obviously, I couldn't end up going live because of the issues there. I was recording at home, and then came in and recorded some other stuff. Once we got everything working, I do want to thank Carter for that because we came in, on a day off and got everything working again. So Carter, if you see this, you are the man. Thank you so much. So what are we getting into today? We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Number one, of course, being that after the left canceled Sydney Sweeney and said she is a failure, lesbian boxing movies are super popular, but this one just failed because Sydney Sweeney was in it. That's what they were saying. Maybe I might be exaggerating slightly. The point is, they said that she was a failure and that her movies were going to bomb from here on out. Well, that turns out not to be the truth because The Housemaid is a bona fide phenomenon right now with very, very, very minuscule drops from week to week. It has broken $130 million at the box office. It is doing unbelievably well when you consider its tiny budget. I think it was like $35 million. That's actually still a pretty decent sized budget for something that doesn't have a lot of CGI and effects, but it's doing very well. So we're going to talk about that movie's success and how it relates to Sydney Sweeney, who they kept claiming was a failure. So we're going to talk about that. We are also, guys, going to talk about Chinese fat prisons. It's a real thing.
I mean, you can tell that this was my idea already, right?
I said when we were making the thumbnail, they're like, Mary's or no, it was when we were talking about the Ashley Tisdale thing. They're like, Mary's definitely back. Chinese fat prisons is a Mary topic all the way. We're going to talk about that. Also, we are going to talk about the religious blasphemy of the most recent Knives Out movie, which Mary will be able to comment on.
Yeah, I admittedly did not watch the full movie. I stopped it after 10 minutes because I was so disgusted by what I saw. So we'll get into that.
Okay, we've got that. We've got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it.
So Ashley Tisdale just blew the lid on a toxic group of mom friends in Hollywood that includes Mandy Moore, Meghan Trainor, Hilary Duff, and more. She wrote this opinion piece in The Cut about dumping her mom friend group because of their toxic high school behavior. And I would say this is not exclusive to celebrity moms. This is actually across society what you will find. Toxic mom forums on social media and in real life.
Facebook mom groups, 110%.
People who just regress back to teenage shunning tactics even though they're grown-ass women. So it was titled Breaking Up with My Toxic Mom Group. I thought I found my village. Instead, I was back in high school, which is interesting for her to write as she played the queen bee of a high school in High School Musical. Like that, she was Sharpay Evans, if you are not familiar. But here was what she wrote. After the birth of my first daughter, I was craving connection with other mothers. I needed someone to talk to about which diaper bag to buy, whether a snoo is worth it. If you don't know what that is, it's a mechanical bassinet that, sways your baby back and forth. How you can possibly get anything done if you're supposed to sleep while the baby is sleeping. But what started out as logistical soon became deeply personal. I needed to talk to someone else who related to what I was going through. The mood swings, the late nights, saying goodbye to who I used to be, and getting to know my daughter and the new person I was becoming. So I felt lucky when my friend brought together a group of new moms that she knew. My friend's friends were in the same situation as I was. Most of us had been pregnant through the early pandemic, lots of pandemic babies. So we missed out on the activities where you meet other expectant moms. We hadn't had baby showers or prenatal yoga, and hardly anyone had held our newborns. But finally, we were able to be together, and our kids were able to be together, and it felt right. What I remember most from those early days was how impressed I was by these women and the amazing things they had going on. So like Ashley Tisdale, a lot of these Hollywood moms have side hustles and they have their own businesses and they have social media brands to upkeep. They're busy, but they're also moms. They're working moms and they're talking to each other about how to balance those things. Mm-hmm. And this is a huge theme among social media mom forums is the term the village. Like you have to find your village and work to get one, because that used to be something that we just naturally had as human beings. Now people are so alienated and isolated, especially in the nuclear family structure. You have to work really hard to find other people and make those connections.
Well, even for them, for celebrities, they go through their own form of isolation just by virtue of fame. So they're looking for it in a different way entirely, even than, say, you or I would.
But over time, she says, she began to wonder whether that was really true. I remember being left out of a couple of group hangouts, and I knew about them because Instagram made sure it fed me every single photo and Instagram story. Another time at one of the mom's dinner parties, I realized where I sat with her. I was at the end of the table, far from the rest of the women. I started feeling frozen out of the group, noticing every way that they seemed to exclude me. At first, I tried not to take things personally. It's not like people aren't allowed to get together without me, and maybe there were perfectly good reasons that I hadn't been invited. We were busy, life was hectic. I told myself it was all in my head and it wasn't a big deal. And yet I could sense a growing distance between me and the other members of the group who seemed to not even care that I wasn't around much. When everyone else attended a birthday dinner together, I was met with excuses as to why I hadn't been invited. I still don't get why I wasn't at the girl hang that they all planned at my daughter's birthday. As I increasingly felt left out, I remembered something, or rather, someone. During the early days of the group, there was another mom who often wasn't included. I'd picked up on hints of a weird dynamic, but at the time, I didn't dwell on it too much. I was just so happy to have found these incredible women. Now it seemed that this group had a pattern of leaving someone out, and that someone had become me. I don't know why, and probably never will. What I do know is that it took me back to an unpleasant, familiar feeling I thought I'd left behind years ago. I was sitting alone one night after getting my daughter to bed, thinking, maybe I'm not cool enough. All of a sudden, I was in high school again, feeling totally lost as to what I was doing wrong to be left out. People assume that because I acted as a child, I had on-set tutors, but I went to a regular high school and had the typical teenage experience of trying to figure myself out. Lately, I've been thinking about how being a new mom has emotional echoes of high school. It's an exciting time of discovery and growth, but it's also a time of feeling vulnerable and unsure. You're thrust into new situations with new people, wondering if they could be the friend who walks beside you in a new time in your life. And there's no way to know for sure unless you put yourself out there. And in both cases, your hormones are all over the place. Even though it had been decades since 10th grade, the experience of being left out felt so similar. Back then, I would have quietly retreated and avoided confrontation because I wasn't confident enough to speak up for myself, hoping to be invited back and pretend nothing ever happened. But I'm not in high school anymore. I'm a mom, and it's because I'm a mom that I couldn't stay quiet. I kept thinking, aren't we supposed to be teaching our kids to speak up for themselves when their feelings are hurt? When they get left out on the playground, aren't we supposed to teach kids to include each other? I knew I had to speak up for myself just like I would want my daughters to do. So that's exactly what I texted to the group after being left out from yet another group hang. So she texted the entire group chat of all these celebrity moms. This is too high school for me, and I don't want to take part in it anymore. It didn't go over well. Some of the others tried to smooth things over. One sent flowers, then ignored me when I thanked her for them. Another tried to convince me that everyone assumed that I'd been invited to the gatherings and just hadn't shown up.
Oh, so it was like, you invited her, right? Like, no, you invited her. Like, oh.
This is typical woman stuff. This is not taking place because they're celebrities. Like, obviously they have very unique lives. They're in a different tax bracket than the rest of us, but we're all human beings and we have the same exact brains. And this is what tends to happen when you put women together in a room or a social situation. There tends to be someone that gets singled out and ostracized, and there's oftentimes very little explanation as to why. And
they smell weakness. They're like, you're not quite at Hillary Duff levels, therefore you must be ostracized.
It depends. Like, is it because they feel threatened by her, or is it because that's her cope answer? Maybe that's her cope answer. Right. Is that a cope, or is that like, I mean, I'm sure that's something that often happens where like a group of women feels that one of them is too intimidating or above them in some way, so they have to ostracize her. But in other situations, there's not an easy explanation like that. And she said, I do think our group dynamic stopped being healthy and positive, for me anyway. It would have been easier to disappear without explanation, and that would have allowed all of us to convince ourselves that we simply drifted apart. But from the feedback I've received, and she's talking about from her female followers, since I started talking about this, I know I'm far from the only mother who has been brought to tears by members of a group that's supposed to lift everyone up. I had more than one friend reach out and say, "You're so brave." I thought that was such an interesting response. Why is it so scary to talk about this? Motherhood has enough challenges without having to wonder if the people around you are on your side. You deserve to go through motherhood with people who actually, like you. And if you have to wonder if they do, here's the hard-earned lesson I hope you'll take to heart. It's not the right group for you, even if it looks like they're having the best time on Instagram.
So just cut bait and leave. Like,
well, that's what she did. She did, but she did what a lot of women would not do, which is making the situation explicit in some way and actually addressing it. Like, women really don't like addressing things, and they don't like confrontation, and they like to keep everything under the surface.
Let me ask you a question then. What is the benefit of making this public? Like if you're being, not included, okay, that sucks. But like, what is the big benefit of being like, you know what? I'm going to speak up about this. First of all, nobody's going to learn a lesson. Like, nothing is going to change. All you're doing is making yourself seem like you're desperate for their approval. Like, if they've given you these signals that they're not interested in being your friend, then just leave and go be friends with people who don't suck.
To give her the most charitable explanation possible, she probably feels like this is something she needs to impart to a lot of the moms that follow her on social media, because it's not a situation exclusive to the celebrity experience. Like, she did say that a lot of women reached out to her who are not famous and said they went through the same exact thing. And we all know the most toxic places, online at least, are mom groups, like mom Facebook groups, not the shady incel forums, not the looks maxers. It's the toxic mom groups. That is the most dark place you can go on the internet. And they really do tear each other apart. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe she felt like she was doing a small service in addressing that and kind of holding that behavior accountable without naming names, but everyone knows who it is because this friend group was incredibly public. And that's another thing that lends itself to toxicity is like displaying how close you all are on social media and taking selfies together.
It's like when Taylor Swift takes her pictures like wrapped, like holding another woman by the arm as they go into a restaurant. You're like, normal people don't do that. Like
and
normal adult women don't do that.
I did try to see it from her perspective, which is that, Taylor Swift is obviously surrounded by paparazzi every time that she goes out. So it might be helpful to hold on to someone that you're accompanied by when you can barely see what's in front of you.
It's quite
it is strange.
That is quite an olive branch you're giving her there. I'm not going to give her that olive branch.
Taylor Swift and her, notorious girl group definitely has given me and many others like high school girl clique vibes. Yeah. But now I'm seeing a ton of people blame Ashley Tisdale for this situation befalling her, claiming that she is actually being ostracized by these other moms for being MAGA. She's actually politically conservative and the other moms shunned her for this. One of them said that Hillary Duff and Mandy Moore were also in this mom group. And when the LA fires happened, Hillary Duff took Mandy Moore in after she lost her home. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Ashley Tisdale was bragging on Instagram about buying a new house in the midst of the wildfires happening. And this is, if you think that this explanation makes any sense, like, I think that's actually the epitome of the problem when it comes to like toxic female friend groups is like no one can succeed when the other person is failing because that's a threat. Like they take the other person's success as a personal offense and insult when they're not doing so well.
You got to learn to be more pragmatic. You got to become like the Terminator. You can't have any emotions. You just got to keep going.
This is like an obsession with everyone being on an equal playing field, even if it means dragging someone down to your level.
Equity means burning your house too.
They also mentioned that Ashley Tisdale follows Hillary Duff's estranged sister, Haley, who is MAGA, and that tells you everything, supposedly.
Okay.
And then they also blamed Ashley for her controversial statement about Charlie Kirk's assassination, which was not controversial at all. In fact, she said at the time in September, it shouldn't be controversial to say this, but even when we disagree or find someone's views offensive, violence is never the answer.
That is so controversial.
And of course, once Ashley Tisdale was dragged for saying something she's right. It shouldn't be controversial. But when she received backlash for that statement, she followed it up to remind everyone that she's still on the right side of history.
Eating the cats.
Thank you.
And we got a 20.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
Thank you guys. High Voltage 75 said, welcome back, PCC. No more moves, no more weddings, no more holidays. It's good to have my favorite afternoon slop as its normal schedule again. P.S. I see Mary's still in her DMV era with that background. Yes, I know it's still looking like, I'm taking my passport photo, but I did find a solution to internet problems. I'm now connected via Ethernet, so we don't have to worry about stream dropping anymore.
Did you hear the crisis party?
No.
You couldn't hear that?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. So I did play it. I played it through the headphones. I'm gonna have to work on that to fix it. So
hopefully they heard it. I thought it didn't matter as long as they could hear it.
Yeah. So somebody says I like the new song. It's not a new song. It's a throwback song. It was eating the dogs and eating the cats.
Oh, so I was the only one who didn't hear it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I don't know why you didn't hear it on your end there.
But Ashley Tisdale followed up her statement about Charlie Kirk saying, to be clear, I stand for equal rights for everyone, women's rights, voting rights, LGBTQ plus rights, everyone. I also support protecting reproductive rights and implementing common sense gun laws. Heart emoji. To let everyone know that she is empathetic and progressive, and we don't have to worry about her being a fascist.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, this is just typical stuff for not only mom groups, but pretty much any female friend group. It's fraught with a lot of these issues.
I am so glad that is not me. Let's move on. We got more to talk about today.
Yeah, you guys probably saw this over our break. Lily Phillips announced that she got rebaptized. She posted this video from a church where she did a full immersion baptism and captioned it, "A Day to Remember Forever." And in case you forgot, this is the OnlyFans star that slept with 100 men in a day. This was not Bonnie Blue, the one who slept with 1,000 men in a day, but it's easy to get them confused. And now she's turning a new leaf in 2026, the brand new identity. She is reconnecting with her Christian faith that she says was actually part of her childhood and her family. And she spoke to multiple outlets about this decision. And one of them was Us Weekly. She said, "I think for a while I had kind of deviated from religion." You don't say. "And I was kind of in denial for a lot of it. Quite a big thing happened more in my personal life where I felt the need to start speaking to God again. I hadn't really practiced faith for a while. I just wanted to get rebaptized to reinstate my relationship with God." And just to be clear, she mentioned she had been baptized as a baby, so this would not be considered a sacramental baptism if you're Catholic, if you're coming at it from the Catholic perspective. But she said that she faced hardship in her personal life, which led her to look to God for help and give her more strength in that. Her decision was embraced by friends and family. She said they were very happy for her, and they were always quite close to God growing up. They were delighted. Inside the industry, Lily has yet to connect with fellow OnlyFans creators who have shared a similar experience with Christianity, but she hopes to do so in the future. She's going to become another one of these spokespeople for, devout Christian sex workers, I guess. It's also tiresome. She said, "I definitely need to do that because I think there are a lot of Christian girls who are in this industry, but people might not know it and they might not feel comfortable talking about it because of the judgment." And she says she can understand people maybe not thinking she's a good Christian. That's totally fine with her. That's their opinion. I'm definitely not claiming to be a traditional Christian at all. Obviously, I am not against gay marriage. I am also pro-choice. So I definitely don't have necessarily traditional values, but that doesn't mean to say that I can't be Christian. I would just hope that the Christian community welcomes me because I guess everyone's relationship with God is bespoke to them. It's interesting to hear Lily Phillips, of all people, use the word bespoke. I don't know.
I mean, the whole thing was written like a press release.
Well, it is a press release because obviously this is a PR stunt that means nothing. I don't even think I need to clarify that for all of you. You know that already.
She still has her link in her link tree to that website that everybody knows. So obviously, whatever she's doing right now isn't involving making any changes that would help her more accurately adhere to religious principle.
This is true. I did check earlier. She still has an active OnlyFans link. She's still promoting her OnlyFans. She has merely said that she's trying to take her career to the back seat in the new year and instead focus on her personal life and reconnecting with faith and her family and her friends instead of focusing more on her career than these other areas. She also spoke to Newsweek and gave them a statement. "I'm really looking forward to strengthening and growing my relationship with God and opening up conversations about how OnlyFans girls are multifaceted. I hate that we are pigeonholed as 2D sex dolls. It can be really dehumanizing."
Do you think like pro baseball players are like, I hate the way I'm pigeonholed as like a pro athlete? Like all they ever see me as is somebody who hits home runs. I'm not a full person to them.
Who is to blame for OnlyFans girls getting pigeonholed and stereotyped and dehumanized?
Look, this is the postmodern utopia, is to turn something that has very clear tenets and beliefs, like I said earlier, and turn it into something that's just a blob of whatever you want it to be. It doesn't matter how much of your life goes against, the faith.
She did address the Christians who are calling her out for her hypocrisy. She said, there might be Christians who disagree with my lifestyle, but I just want to rebuild my relationship with God. And I think we should be welcoming all conversations and opportunities for people to explore religion in a way that's right for them. So, I mean, that's just such a contradiction in terms, because religion, in my worldview, the definition of that is the right worship of God. And that means that you are giving God what he is due. That doesn't mean that it has to be right for you. It does not have to be tailored to your preferences. That is not the point of being religious, actually. It's quite the opposite.
It would be like a parent saying that they need to make parenthood work for them when it's not about you. It's about making life better for your child.
Christian podcaster named Solomon Bucci responded to this, making a video where, he did point out that her OnlyFans link is still in her bio and she is merely using this as an attention grab.
She's not even doing the fake, like, I found religion and I'm changing. It's even more nefarious. Which one is more nefarious? This or the one where you pretend like you're changing but you don't?
Well, of course, who comes to mind when we say that? That's Nala, right? The other OnlyFans girl that quit OnlyFans after making, what did she say, like $9 million off of the platform. She did, in fact, shut it down, and she moved on to being an influencer, right? But then when you pay closer attention to what she is posting, you can take a look at Nala Ray's Instagram right now and see the kind of content that she's posting. And you can still see the same exact vices, the same exact habits and reflexes of sexualizing herself and objectifying herself. And when anyone points this out, they're told that they're just one of those evil, judgmental Christians and nothing can be good enough for them.
Can I ask you a question then? So let's say her situation stays the same. Say she found, a church that she wanted to practice in regularly. Would she be taken more seriously if she didn't make posts about it? If she continued the lifestyle she lives, which goes against, her beliefs or your beliefs or God's beliefs, would she be more accepted if she lived in some sort of, I guess it would be conflict where her lifestyle says one thing, but she regularly attended church? Without it being public. Public.
Nala?
No, with Lily Phillips.
Lily Phillips. Oh.
And I'm not saying is it okay. I'm saying would she be more accepted within the religious community if she didn't make it a public thing, and just the people at the church that she attended, would they be more accepting if they were like, look, we don't appreciate what you do for a living, but you're at least making an attempt to come to church? Maybe that's a stupid question.
No, that's 100%. I would assume yes. Yeah. Yes. And the reason people take issue with Nala is because of the public nature of her conversion and the fact that she also followed it up with launching her own online, like, digital ministry behind a paywall where she, basically just sold a bunch of AI generated slop about, like, healing and the Holy Spirit and
New Age. It was like New Agey.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally all, like, AI generated slop. And you can't, like, criticize this behavior without being, you're cast as the one who's to blame. Like, no, I mean, I think that it's perfectly reasonable to be skeptical, and I was from the start. I just said, if this is genuine, then that's a good thing, but I'm not presuming to say that I know one way or the other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think the best course for women in that scenario is to put social media behind you.
Okay.
Like, it is possible. You can get a number of jobs that don't require you to be some kind of niche internet micro celebrity.
There's a 20 there.
Let me find that from High Voltage 75.
We did that one, right? We need the Shane H. Wilder one.
Oh, I don't see that one here.
Oh, so
Sorry.
he says rebaptized. You can only get baptized once for the forgiveness of
Yes.
sins. So she took a quick bath, like maybe just go forth and sin no more. Walking with God doesn't mean doing what you want, but what he wants.
Right. Well, to be clear, that is, I think, only the Catholic view of baptism. I know that there are a lot of Protestant Christians who believe that you can and should get rebaptized if you so desire, because it's in their view, it's merely symbolic, but in the Catholic worldview, it is not symbolic. So that's why you would only do it one time.
All right, let's move on. We've got more to get into.
Yeah. Well, I feel good about this because our coverage of Clavicular, this up-and-coming looks-maxing influencer, actually predates his huge interview with Michael Knowles. I feel like I was really up on that story. But the clip that everyone saw was him saying that Gavin Newsom mogs JD Vance, which is why he would give Newsom his vote, because he has the looks maxing halo effect. But aside from all that, I've been seeing some clips that are circulating from Clavicular's streams. He streams on Kick, I believe. And this is a genre that is becoming more and more popular called IRL streaming. It's been around for a long time, but I think that it's really soaring in popularity now amongst an unemployed audience. And that also involves like an audience of minors that don't have better things to do with their lives. Podcasts are for employed, busy people who are doing things while listening to a podcast. IRL streaming is for people who are sitting at home all day watching their favorite streamers for like 8 hours at a time or more. Clavicular is becoming one of the prevailing IRL streamers, going for hours and hours at a time, giving people what they assume to be a candid depiction of his life. And I just want to call that into question with a few examples of Clavicular's recent interactions with his supposed girlfriend. And mind you, this is just a supporting character in the Truman Show of Clavicular's life. Like, I wouldn't just take this at face value that this is a true depiction of their relationship. In this first clip, you will see Clavicular getting into a heated argument with his girlfriend. They look to be like at brunch somewhere, and she is threatening to tell the audience what he did to piss her off the night before. And she believes that he's trying to cast her in a negative light to his audience, and she's trying to correct the record. So let's take a look at this.
Here we go.
I'm fine with that. You know, if I fucked up, tell me. I want that energy match. You know.
There's a lot of fuck ups.
Yeah, well, you too. You want to get into our fuck ups? You can get into it.
Don't fucking argue with me.
No, I'm serious. You want to get.
It's even funnier, like how his audio is good and her audio is bad because the mic's directly in front of him. It's so weird what makes these things immersive for people now. It is very, I think you're 110% right. I think it's Truman Show-esque in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's continue.
Get into it, because I got fuck ups with bro. You got fuck ups too. I think chat would not like to. I don't think we should share, honestly. But if you want to get into it, you can. You want to?
You're the only fucking bitch in all of the United States that could be in a fucking 50th story penthouse, everything paid for, going to clubs, everything, and still a fucking bitch every second of the day.
Oh, you think I bitch every second of the day? Well, why don't we share what you did last night so that they can understand why today I was not just...
Did they ever say what he did? Do you know?
I don't know, actually. She never revealed
You'll have
that
to stay tuned for episode 2. If
exactly.
You want to...
This is how people get hooked on the stream. Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up.
I wanted to go home. Let's share.
I don't give a fuck.
You want to share with them?
I don't even remember last night.
Well, then
or the
share
night
with them.
Bitch, I don't even remember last night.
Don't call me a fucking bitch. I'm gonna get up and leave.
She hasn't gotten up to leave yet, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
No, don't call me that. And the fact that you call me ungrateful is unbelievable. Because I don't look at money and shit like that. Like, that's the reason that I'm here.
I think she does look at money personally, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
She could be like a monk who lives monastically. I don't know, but here we go.
I would live in a shed with you.
Yeah,
thing.
it's like what was it like when Justin Bieber, when he's like what was the song where he's like here we go. Let's continue. Sorry, here we go.
Care about that shit. You could be in a shack and I'd still be with you. Like, yes, it's beautiful. I love it and I'm grateful for it. But at the end of the day, I only care about you. So I don't know how you don't get that yet.
She doesn't get how she only cares about him, and everybody else is not understanding.
Like, that's
she's
so
a ride or
clear
die
over so much time.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you say Jesus, really? Bro. Bro, you're on some weird shit right now. I'm gonna share with the live what the fuck happened last night. Like, why are you even fucking talking about this? I didn't do... I was very valid and rational in my...
I don't remember what happened last night.
That's your fault.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So don't come at me for having a day where I'm upset. I'm not having it, and you keep disrespecting me. I'm not gonna sit there and take it. There's boundaries. And you should get that. Like, I don't set crazy boundaries.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and people are reacting to this just aghast that this absolute specimen of a man who has dedicated his life to looks maxing and being the ultimate alpha male is being disrespected by his girlfriend. How dare she?
It's just all so fake. It's also
like
there's a camera there. It's like when you watch skits now. There was this one the other day that was like don't wish people Happy New Year's in the hood, and it was like
I saw that too.
One? And I'm just like these like, okay, there's two possibilities here. Either it's a skit, or they're looking at the fact that you're holding a phone like this, and they're like, you know what, fuck you, like. I can't.
No, but like this might as well be a skit. Like this is satirical content, and I'm just encouraging people to develop a little bit of media literacy in regard to this genre, which is IRL streaming. He obviously does not need to be in a toxic relationship with a woman who verbally berates him all the time. That's not the point here. He's with her because she is a side character in his TV show.
She makes for good content.
Exactly. She's adding drama. She's keeping people, hooked to the storyline. He's developing a plot here. Like, this is a subplot in his life.
He needs to hire Ian to be like his number two.
People are all saying like, oh, I can't believe like a bone smashed, meth maxed Chad is putting up with this when I've broken up with, women for less than this, than he's putting up with here. And they're, trying to create all these theories as to why he's putting up with her behavior. Like, oh, it's because he's insecure. It's because he's not the masculine Chad that he wants everyone to think he is, But it has nothing to do with any of that. This is not real. Like, what you are watching is not real. Streamers are like, I mean, I'm not talking about us. Like, obviously we're live streaming right now, but this is a podcast. Yeah. The streamers that I'm talking about are basically prostitutes and they will do anything for attention.
I don't know if it's that. I get what your point, but like they're just weird performance artists.
Yes.
In a weird way. It's like what they've done. I actually compared a lot to like pro wrestling before pro wrestling was like found out and you understood that it was a show and it wasn't real. Like they had to live the gimmick 24/7. When wrestling was first when wrestling first came about, before the 2010s and the reality era, good guys were never seen traveling with bad guys. If you were like the world champion, you had to carry that belt with you in airports, even though it's a prop. And but you know what I mean? Like they were living the gimmick 24/7. They even have the conversation now where they talk about like people like Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan who they did it for so long and it became such a part of their personality that you don't know where like Hulk Hogan ends and Terry Bollea began. And that's what they are. Like the more interesting version after like a month's worth of watching that would be to see what they're like if they didn't know that it was streaming. If they were in a situation where they didn't actually know their camera was recording them. That would be more interesting.
Right. This is kayfabe, and like we don't know where Clavicular ends and where, I don't even remember his legal name, I don't remember his government name, begins. Like that's the point of this genre. In this other clip, his girlfriend starts arguing with him about wanting to go out. She's mad at him for streaming all the time and not going out with her to a Quavo concert.
Wait, so she's literally the meme. She's like, why do you have to do your job? Like,
she's the Hallmark girl in this clip.
She's like, I am going to leave you for a Christmas tree farmer if you're not fucking careful. You're going to be out.
He's just sitting there letting her scream at him, basically.
I also love how, like, the hallmark of, like, the streamer that's not a podcaster is, like, the haphazard way in which their setup is done. There's no order. There's no organization. It's actually more, it looks better to them when it's disorganized because otherwise it would look too presented.
Right, exactly. That's another, curated, calculated aspect of the genre here.
All right, here we go.
You want to go out? You want to go out?
Go see Quavo. I told you, let's go together.
Go see Quavo. What the fuck?
Oh my god. That's what I'm saying.
Huh?
You twist my words. Like, what the
serious?
fuck does that even mean? What, do I have a crush on fucking Quavo? Are you fucking that insecure? What the fuck are you talking about?
You think that's what I was thinking?
I don't fucking
It's just
know.
like degenerate and trashy.
I don't,
like, let me go see Quavo? Like, what?
Brought up to go to Quavo in the first
Rap?
place.
It's like girls listening to rap.
Girls listening to rap, like, major red flag is what he's saying.
Well, I'm just like, how was he twisting her words? Like, is this a window into insane Zoomer relationships? Like, what's going on here? What are they even arguing about? He did say in the Knowles interview, when Knowles asked him if he's in a relationship, he said no. So maybe that was out of date. But he said that he would feel bad about being in a relationship because of the nature of his career, where he basically has to be streaming all day, every day. He wouldn't have time to dedicate to anybody else. And that's why she's there. She's just adding another element to entertain people.
Who's the biggest IRL streamer right now? Besides iShowSpeed.
Oh, I mean, so there's iShowSpeed and Kai Cenat, probably Kai Cenat.
Was it Kai Cenat that recently said he like broke up with his girlfriend and said he's never gonna date again because he just doesn't have the time for it? It was either him or iShowSpeed. One of them said that recently.
I don't know. I didn't even know that Kai Cenat had a girlfriend.
Apparently.
But like, it's obviously not a career path that allows you to have a personal life because your entire life is dedicated to it. Like, that's why I mean that these streamers are effectively prostitutes because they belong to their audience. In this next clip, though, it appears that this is the breakdown of their relationship. This is captioned, "Clavicular confirmed his ex-girlfriend is no longer making a return to his streams."
Here we go. So her character has been written out in the new season. Here we go.
This guy took care of me real well, and it was an unfortunate situation. Like,
Big regret. Should have let someone shoot you.
excuse me? Can you open the door? No, but did you guys know that there was literally we've dated for fucking months, you guys. I'm not gonna get into it, but like, if you're OG, you know the fucking history. This guy only took me, you ready? On one date.
Well, you can't go on a date. You're busy. He's got a stream.
Like, what did you expect when you got into this relationship? One of the replies said she needs to start personality maxing.
There you go.
And yeah, again, a lot of the people analyzing this to death are saying that Clavicular puts up with behavior like this from his girlfriend because, secretly, despite the front and the persona that he puts on online, he is really insecure and he's just a dork underneath it all. And he really just wants to be loved. But I think that's giving way too much credit, and I really mean like you're believing it too much. Like you're buying into the story too much. You're letting him pull one over on you if you actually are spiking your cortisol over what you just saw.
If these things were happening in private, then maybe. But when they're happening in public as part of the show, then he's just like, this person is gold for my content, and that's it.
Overall, I will say I think that the absolute pandemonium over the Clavicular interview with Knowles and what he said about Gavin Newsom and JD Vance was way overblown and such a disproportionate reaction. Like, in a way, I'm not saying like I ascribe to his worldview that like looks are the only or number one thing that matters in life, but he is correct in saying that, you know, maybe you shouldn't spike your cortisol by constantly worrying and talking and thinking about politics all the time. Like, sometimes you're just watching a video of a 19-year-old influencer who doesn't know anything about anything, and he's just kind of spouting off, and you can move on with your day after you see that clip. Like, he's probably right in some sense.
Well, I think the idea, me and Phil have had that discussion before. Does physical attraction matter in politics? Well, height matters. Height absolutely matters in politics.
Oh, yeah.
But again, this is like you're ascribing some level of wisdom to somebody who doesn't need to be ascribed wisdom to.
Yeah, it is in a way like sort of justifying his worldview by even responding to it in earnest, because obviously he's playing a character. And
that's why he doesn't care.
That
doesn't care. That's why he doesn't care if she says something totally like, he's accepted the fact that she could say something that's like career ending, because he knows that there are no career ending things that you can say about him.
Right, exactly. And he is kind of like the anti-charisma influencer, like that no longer matters. To address that point though, about like whether looks matter in electability, we all know that they do. And one of the points that I heard was it would be breaking so much precedent for JD Vance to win in 2028 because he's a bearded candidate. We haven't had a bearded president in like, I don't even know how many generations. So that's clearly another aspect of it that really matters to people.
Well, even I said he needed to lose more weight. Like he did need to, especially like if he's going to go up against Kamala Harris, fine. You can look however you want.
You can get away with a lot when you're going up against Kamala.
But if he's going to go against Gavin Newsom, as bad as Gavin Newsom is, I still think Gavin Newsom would have beat Trump. I do. Like in a lot of ways.
It's possible.
I feel like in a lot of ways, like it really is just a woman thing. Like Trump is 2-0 against women. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be a major advantage. If
I could be wrong about that. He won all the swing states. Like maybe Kamala should have at least won one of the swing states. Like do I buy that he would have beat Newsom? I don't know. Like I feel like most people are very, very dumb and they don't know what Gavin Newsom did to destroy California. They just see like a tall we had Vanessa on the show, and she's like Vanessa, and she's like I hate to admit it, but he's handsome. And
oh yeah, she was like she was like definitely taken with Gavin Newsom. I think a lot of suburban women are going to be in favor of him. But aside from all that, it's just like it kind of devolved into a debate over like whether JD Vance is sexier than Gavin Newsom, which is it's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
I'll get off here. I want to get off.
You look like you're coping if you try to claim that Gavin Newsom is not like as attractive as JD Vance. Like he's obviously more handsome than JD Vance. That is a fact.
All right, let's hold off on the rest of those topics. We are going to move on. We're going to do Cringe and Cute of the day. What would you like to see first?
Let's see the cringe first. We were unsure about this one, because I was like, did we do this cringe or not?
Well, if we did, too bad. That's what happens when you take 2 weeks off and you don't have any live shows. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
We're getting back into the swing of things. This is Elon Musk's advice for what you should do at parties.
Okay, here we go.
Have a good time, or like make people really laugh at a party. You can use Grok and you can say, do a vulgar roast of someone.
Like, does anybody like the person who like breaks out grok in the middle?
Like, no, like that is the worst person that you're gonna meet that night.
You're in the triangle circle of people, right? You, another guy, and a third person, and like you're kind of giving each other shit, and then out of nowhere you pull your fucking phone out and open grok to have a conversation. This is unique to his specific form of autism.
This is like a microcosm of every party in San Francisco.
Yeah, here we go.
And grok is gonna be an epic vulgar roast. You can even say like take a picture of like make a vulgar roast of this person based on their appearance of people at the party.
So take a photo of them.
Yeah, just literally
everyone's
point the
gonna
camera
love
at them
that,
and now
Elon.
do a vulgar roast of this person, and then keep saying no, make it even more vulgar.
I mean, Tim did this on IRL where he was having it say racist jokes, and it eventually got past the point of clever and was just slurs.
Okay, that's different though.
Yeah.
That's not like a personal attack on anybody.
Use forbidden words.
Use
Even-
forbidden words.
Even more, and just keep repeating even more
Yeah.
vulgar. Eventually, it's like
Wow,
holy
that's hilarious,
fuck,
Elon.
you know. It's like, I mean, it's trying to jam a
when he
rocket up
threw his
your ass.
hands in the air, he got overwhelmed by the tism.
It's okay. It's what happens. All right. We've got cute of the day. Nepo Kitty gets to skip the line as always. No one will think this is as funny as I do, but today we stopped at Dollar General and I found this plate and naturally we had to get it. It's because our cat's name is Toast and the plate said I'm Toast, and I can confirm that she laughed so hard for so very long. Such is life. And we love Toast.
Oh, the perspective was off. I thought that was like way too big of a plate to fit a piece of toast.
No.
But-
It's about right. You could put a piece
He's
of
very
toast on that.
cute.
We love Toast.
I love toast.
All right. Let's move on. We've got a bunch of stuff to get
Yeah.
into. Let's talk about The Housemaid.
So 2025 was not a good year for Sydney Sweeney's box office track record. She had a lot of flops, most famously the lesbian boxing movie, Christy. No one had ever heard of Christy, and this was shocking. There were 2 lesbian boxing movies in 2025. Like, that's crazy work for Hollywood. One of them was starring Kristen Stewart. The other was Sydney Sweeney's. They both flopped. Sydney's, though, was a historic record-breaking flop. And a lot of people blamed it on bad marketing or a lack of marketing whatsoever. And a lot of people blamed it on her, saying that people were boycotting the movie due to her MAGA ties. I think both of those are insufficient explanations. It really comes down to what movie concept deserves a theatrical release. And I think The Housemaid is a perfect example of what you can guarantee will perform well at the box office because it has a clear direction and a clear demographic that it's trying to appeal to.
Absolutely.
So The Housemaid, on a budget of $35 million, it was released over Christmas, has grossed now over $133 million worldwide.
Yep.
Now eyeing a $220 to $250 million finish. And
If you want a perspective before you get to there, like it had only a 19% drop from week 1 to week 2, and from week 2 to week 3, only a 3% drop, meaning that in week 1 it made 19 million. This is just domestic, obviously. In week 2 it made 15 million. In week 3 it made 14 million. So it made almost as much money in week 3 as it did in week 2, which is very, very impressive.
yeah, and you know, people who hate Sydney Sweeney are going to come up with their reasons for why this has happened, why this was such a breakout success. Some are giving all of the credit to her co-star, Amanda Seyfried.
Yep.
Others are saying that it's solely because of the theatrical release date. Obviously, Christmas time is a big time for the box office. A lot of people also more correctly are pointing out that this is based on an incredibly popular novel among a female audience. And that is probably the primary reason why it's doing so well in the box office. And, you know, I saw that you made a video that said like Hollywood ditched women in 2025.
Well, it was based on an article that was it was about women directors, and it was basically like they had a backslide in how many women directors were making movies in the top 100 highest grossing movies of the year. It backslid from like 13% to 8%. Obviously, even before that, if we're talking like 2023, half of that was made up by Greta Gerwig. She made like half the box office that year. But the point is they're saying like mediocre men will continue to get opportunities. But all of the women directors that they mentioned, it was the Chloe Zhao's, the ones that nobody really knows or cares about because nobody went to see the Eternals and the other
Celine
stuff.
Song.
Yes, she was in there as well. And so my point was like maybe the best thing you could be doing would be to not have women directing documentaries about Palestine. Maybe you should have female directors directing movies about movies that women like. So if you want to make a sequel to It Ends With Us, maybe you don't need Justin Baldoni to direct that movie because it's been his lifelong dream to make a Colleen Hoover movie. No, what you need is you need to get women who understand other women to direct movies. And there was another funny post that basically said like, funny how they're finally realizing that books make good movies again because all the books for the last 10 years have been optioned for television shows, not for films.
Right. And a lot of them are also getting dumped on Netflix.
Yes.
I wanted to mention there is a popular novel that just got adapted into a Netflix film called People We Meet on Vacation. And someone in the comments actually said that she's a regular at like a women's, basically romance novel bookstore that personally arranged a screening of People We Meet on Vacation in theaters that was sold out, kind of proving in a microcosm why these movies keep getting the short end of the stick. Like they need to have faith in movies that are for a female audience. Women want to go to the movies with their friends. Some people are saying this is a good sign for the Wuthering Heights adaptation. There's also the recently announced rom-com starring Regé-Jean Page and Halle Bailey. We'll see how that does. I'm sure the Devil Wears Prada sequel is also going to perform well. They also mentioned Practical Magic 2, Hunger Games, anything in the Hunger Games franchise. And
the last one we went and saw did well. It didn't do Jennifer Lawrence money, but it did fine.
Yeah, it did. And it just, I think that Hollywood continues to be confused about what women want to see because they keep hijacking dominantly male franchises and trying to make them women friendly instead of just making stories that women like.
Yeah, this was a tweet from Force of Light. It said, this movie hits a demographic that has mostly been forsaken over the last 10 years. Women. We saw It Ends With Us and Barbie being the ultimate Hollywood. Or I'm saying, but being the ultimate. Hollywood stopped making movies women are interested in. Yeah, if you think about it, the success of Barbie played on the fact that women went to, what did I see Disper say? You want to make movies that women want to go to with their friends. Not movies they necessarily need to go to with a boyfriend or a husband, but make movies where women who like to hang out in large groups anyways want to go and see with their friends and or maybe their coworkers.
Now, this is just my pragmatic view of it. This is not my personal endorsement of The Housemaid. And, most of the books that women are reading these days, I don't know. I don't have a personal interest in like romance novels or the like, but Jack Posobiec tweeted about The Housemaid, calling it a famous feminist anti-marriage book series that has a huge fan base. It's about a serial killer that women hire to kill their husbands. It sold millions and is available in every airport. Now, I'm not saying I endorse, all of the messaging behind the story. I'm just saying in pragmatic terms, this is the type of story that women are buying into, and this is what they want to see on screen. And Jamie Marshall, who writes for Evie Magazine, chimed in about her analysis of Sydney Sweeney's box office track record and why she chooses to do all of these artsy-fartsy films that no one cares about up until The Housemaid broke that streak. And she believes there's actually an incredibly calculated decision behind all of these films that she's working on. She said her entire filmography is a feminist meta-commentary on female sexualization, intrasexual competition, the male gaze, and female rage. Some common themes in her roles include eroticization of female suffering, being punished for being desired, having her naivete taken advantage of, innocence as a liability, futility of attempting to escape objectification by reclaiming your sexuality as a woman, stories where the tension doesn't live between whether women have agency or not, but the limitation of one's choices inside a prison that predetermines who and what you can be, and how agency is taxed at punitive rates when you're a beautiful / sexualized woman. Her characters almost always live inside a gendered prison where women are either overtly oppressed by the government, a la The Handmaid's Tale, or religious institutions, or are severely constrained by the Madonna whore complex. I think that would be more the character she plays in Euphoria. Her characters are misunderstood by both men and women by virtue of her reputation or how she presents herself to the world. Subversive vulnerability. You read her as one thing and punish her for it, only for her to prove that she was uncharitably judged. She is misperceived in high-stakes circumstances and punished for it, usually by the time people realize it's too late. Her fate is pre-decided within the confines of a gendered prison. This subverts the genre of empowerment feminism because her vulnerability and suffering never produces redemption. She never wins. She is either destroyed or descends into female rage. Her career is a case study on the futility of accepting and rejecting your place in the world as a woman, whether you agree or not. The thesis of her filmography is that there is no empowerment in embracing your sexuality and in attempting to reject it. It's often still forced on you anyway, or you're considered repressed. You might be thinking, this seems fundamentally at odds with her personal philosophy. I don't think it is. She sees societal structures as inherently punitive against women, but she's not willing to lead her life oriented around avoiding them because there is no reward in self-denial. If you're already effed, then you're also liberated. That is, many have and will continue to dismiss her as a big-breasted blonde bimbo who appeals to the male gaze. So what should she do? Just roll over and self-immolate in the face of that perception, or refuse to let society indict her own self-concept? Do you really need anyone's permission to be a multifaceted human being with something to say? It adds heaps of complex layers to the sex symbol persona, but nobody is analyzing it for some reason, and it drives me crazy. So basically, she's saying that Sydney Sweeney is putting a lot of deep thought into the roles that she takes, and people are not really willing to take her seriously because of the way that she presents herself to the world, and she seems to be okay with being misunderstood and underestimated. And this is something I've said before, which I believe is true, is that women benefit from being underestimated and men benefit from being overestimated. And I think she's perfectly fine with being underestimated in the public eye.
Do you think it's kind of like we used to talk? I've mentioned it before about somebody like Logan Paul, who you have to learn to be okay with being misunderstood. And for somebody like him, it's more of shock factor, which is he acts a certain way and people don't really necessarily know he's putting on a character. Or even what we were talking about earlier with Clavicular, which is like, even like a quarter of him knows that that's not who he really is, you have to be really willing to be misunderstood. Do I believe that she's put this much thought into it? I could honestly buy, given her financial intelligence she seems to have towards branding and marketing, and the fact that from a very young age, this is what she's wanted to do. I could buy that a certain amount of thought has gone into all of this. I don't know if it's as deep as everything that we just heard from everybody. I don't know if she necessarily thinks in those terms. I think a big part of her is that she does fashion herself as an actress, or an actor if you're part of the Hollywood vernacular and you don't want to use the gendered language, which they don't. And they love the idea of embodying these very, very specific characters. And they love the idea of somehow bringing them to life. And I think that she likes these types of characters, not the housemaid, but the other ones, the Christies and whatnot. She likes it because it's deep. And I would maintain that her acting skills benefit her more when she does lean into the housemaid in Euphoria rather than, say, Christy, right? But I don't know if it's as deep as the people who sit there, put pen to paper, and write these think pieces.
Well, I just would say that what can't be denied is that most, if not all, of Sydney Sweeney's roles in TV and movies have a feminist subtext.
Yes.
And usually it's not a very popular one. The popular one is embracing your sexuality and like reclaiming it is empowering.
Mm-hmm.
Her worldview is that it isn't empowering and people are going to drag you for it either way. So you might as well capitalize on being a sexual object while you can.
But that's just a matter of perspective for her. Even the people who say that it is empowering are going to get dragged by people. They just choose not to care what those people think. All that does tell me is where her attention and focus go to, which is to the people that are going to drag her. Whereas the ones who don't care whether you drag them or not will see it as empowering because they're not paying lip service to the people that are speaking out against them. I think that's just a matter of worldview.
Well, I think it's evident that she doesn't really care to cope about how she's perceived. I mean, like she doesn't need to tell herself that it's empowering.
Yeah. I don't know. I
think she's almost sociopathically okay with people thinking that she's a stupid bimbo.
But you have
when most people cannot deal with that.
And that's we've had that discussion before. Like in Hollywood, for them, like at that level, you have to be willing to be misunderstood because some article is going to be written about you that has nothing to do with reality. That's absolutely misrepresenting everything that you say. We were on with, I was on Simpcast last night with Chrissy Mayer, and she was talking about she was at like Ann Coulter's birthday party or something, and she was at a hockey game, I guess. And they were talking about talking to these pro athletes, these retired pro hockey players who said that they hate podcasts and they hate interviews because they don't like being misunderstood and they don't want to talk because they feel like they're going to get dragged. Like any sense of realness is a sign of weakness to people. So they prefer the polished world of, press releases and the way things were before. And I was like, that's even funnier when you think about it being pro athletes, where it's like, that's it feels like that should be the least important because you live and die by whether you're good at truly do live and die by whether you're good at your job or not. But it's part of that old boomer mindset, not to use that as a derogatory phrase, but an old school mindset that you needed to be presented a specific way, when the new mindset, because of the internet and because of new media, you have to learn to not care about how you're presented.
Right, exactly. In a way, Sydney Sweeney is kind of taking the clavicular perspective here
in a different sort of way, but in a less meta way.
Yeah, it's a little bit less performance art.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know what she's got going on next, right? Do we know what her next movie is? I want to look it up.
I don't know.
What is Sydney Sweeney's next movie? Or at the very least, I want to check IMDb to see what it says that she's got coming down the pipeline she's got Euphoria season 3 or 4 or whatever coming up. I know that.
Yeah, it's season 3, the final season. Yeah.
She's got Devil Wears Prada 2 rumored. They're saying rumored on IMDb.
I don't think she's in it.
Yeah. She's in something called I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl. That sounds unbelievably pretentious. I have no doubt. She's got Scandalous, which is in pre-production, Split Fiction, which they don't have any news on, which a video game adaptation, and then Euphoria, and then rumored for Devil Wears Prada 2. Also, she was trying to get, Barbarella off the ground as well.
Oh, right.
Like anything old school Pamela Anderson seems right up her alley. At the intersection of beauty, sexuality, and Hollywood exploitation feels like right up her alley as for something to make.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe 2026 is going to be her year.
All right.
Maybe she can prove all the haters wrong.
All right, let's go to some super chats.
Okay, Well-Spoken Token said, Mary, is matcha in? Now, you guys know I love matcha, but I don't think matcha is in for 2026. It's kind of played out. It was already a meme. I think that this year we're going to see a huge surge in popularity for ube.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a purple colored derivative flavoring from like some sort of Japanese yam or sweet potato, but basically it's easy to photograph for Instagram. So I think people are going to be really into ube this year.
Let's do one more. You're only into matcha now if you're an unk performative male.
Yeah, and I'll embrace that. I'm okay with that.
All right, let's do one more.
Serengo Productions said, "Let's gong go. PCC is back." Yes, we are.
That is what we are doing. Let's hold off on the rest. Let's gongo and move on.
All right, guys. I gotta admit, the CCP has some clever ideas. They have introduced these government-affiliated fat camps, basically, and people in America, they don't like this idea because we also have an obesity problem, but we're addicted to hyper-individualism and freedom at all costs. So a lot of Americans are seeing this and calling these things fat prisons. No one, to be clear, to our knowledge, is being forced to enter Chinese fat prisons. That is a misnomer.
Wait, is this like so does that make you the Zoran Memdani of get into the warmth of collective non-fat of being not fat?
Well, in a way, it's kind of a capitalist venture because people are paying to enter these facilities for 2 to 4 week stays, and they are forced it's a loaded term, to work out several times a day. They have all of their meals planned specifically for them, and it's tailored to each individual's weight loss journey. So this first American posted about it. China forcing people to be healthy. In America, they're forcing people to be fat. And Lauren Chen replied saying, "They're not prisons. People pay to be there. They're like boot camps for people who want to lose weight. There are group workout classes, special meals, etc. I've seen TikToks of foreigners who go to them and document their time there." So if any of you watching this want to go to a Chinese fat prison, you literally can. You can go and stay there for 28 days for less than $1,000 USD, and they are going to have you in a strict workout and diet regimen, and you will have a very difficult time leaving if you want to leave early. But maybe that's what you need to have a little bit of a mindset shift.
Tough love.
The Daily Mail covered this and went into detail based on the coverage from an influencer who goes by Egg Eats. She's an Australian woman who went to stay at one of these fat prisons for 28 days, and she paid the $1,000 fee to do so.
We before we go, we missed a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Thank you, Junkie. He says, most movie research geeks think that the low second week drop-off for The Housemaid is due to the great word of mouth and positive social media chatter. Yes.
I have seen a lot of that.
Yep.
That is true.
Thank you for that.
In China, obese individuals are shedding the pounds by enrolling in fat prisons, closed camps that promise rapid weight loss through intense exercise routines, mandatory weigh-ins, and rules that make it difficult to leave. And one woman who has signed herself up has given an inside peek at what really goes on behind the facility's closed doors. To address its growing obesity problem, China established a network of commercial or government-affiliated weight loss prisons that operate in repurposed facilities or campuses across.
Oh, Mary mic cut out there. All right, I'm going to hold on while she gets that fixed there. It says, to address the growing obesity problem, China established a network of government-affiliated weight loss prisons that operate in a repurposed... Yep, we're good now. You back? You good?
We're back, chat?
Yeah, we back.
We good?
Yeah, you good.
Okay, we're good.
Check and make sure you're on the right mic there. You should be on. Yep. Yeah, you're good.
I think I am.
All right.
Okay. Personal trainers and weight management products. These strict military-style camps have become an apt choice. The goal is to encourage significant weight loss in both adults and children through controlled diets. So they're also housing children at these facilities. Like, okay, that's a little bit worrying.
Yeah.
Constant monitoring and disciplined programs that are tailored to the individual, as well as following strict diet plans. Participants are expected to engage in strenuous activities each day, such as treadmills, boxing routines, and intense cardio sessions. Giving up is not an option, as the facility keeps its steel gates firmly shut, and there are rules in place that make it difficult for individuals to leave. This Australian influencer, who is currently at one of these camps, candidly shared an inside look at her grueling daily routine. And honestly, like, in this video, she makes it look kind of awesome. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Let's take a look at this video.
Okay.
It looks kind of fun, actually. Like, I kind of want to just go there for like a vacation, honestly.
Okay. While we watch
food looks
this,
really good.
While we watch this, check your mic really quick. I think it might have switched to your laptop mic. But here we go. We can't play the music on this one, as always, guys, because they always use copyrighted music for this. But here we go. Hold on, let me put it on screen there. Here we go. Says you paid less than $1,000 for 28 days of accommodation. I mean, with all the fireworks and stuff, I thought it was looking at a Turning Point event for a second there. It says food classes to lose weight in a Chinese fat prison. 7:30 wake up, 8 a.m. weigh in, 9:20 to 10:30 is morning aerobics class. Lunchtime, evening spin class. Look at that spin class. That's amazing. All right.
Okay, I lost you for a second there.
Yeah.
I think we're good now.
Good?
But do you agree with me? Like, that kind of looks really fun.
I would do it. I don't know if I'd do it for a month, but I'd definitely go.
Especially the rave Soul Cycle event that they do at night.
Yeah.
I would be living my best life there.
Yeah.
And it's all hella cheap. She said it was 742, I think, euros for the beginning of December. And then she said, okay, they exercise for 4 hours a day. She attends 19 classes per week, starting with group aerobics class in the morning, followed by high-intensity interval training classes, and then a second aerobic session in the afternoon before finishing with an evening spin class, which sees the participants pedal in unison to music with a high-energy rave setting, complete with strobe lights. Meals consumed between workouts are carefully portioned on trays, with one breakfast comprising of a single piece of bread, chopped tomato and cucumber, and 4 boiled eggs. Why are they trying to make this sound restrictive? Like, that's a very normal breakfast.
Yeah.
That's actually more than I eat for breakfast. I don't have breakfast.
Well, they're easing them down because you don't eat as much because you're not fat.
Oh. Are you able to hear me? Because I can't hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't hear you right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna pick up. Let's see if you should close program and reopen it again. See if it works there. Hold on. All right. It says one Australian woman who is currently holed up in a camp in China has candidly shared an inside look at her grueling daily routine, and it appears no walk in the park. Goes down here further with the pictures. There is the POV. You're in a Chinese fat camp to lose weight, which is crazy work. It says the 20.
I think I'm back.
You good? You got
I'm
me?
back.
You got me?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I don't know why this keeps going in and out.
Yeah, we're back to your good mic now, though.
It's so annoying.
Yep.
Anyway,
did you?
There are a ton of people.
Did you reboot? Did you reboot the? Did you reboot the website? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're just getting through it. I don't know, but
right.
I just wanted to address all of the people who are freaking out and panicking over this. This is actually like what we should implement in our country. Like if I had to say, like, you know, if you're so trapped in the cycle of your own self-destructive habits that you have to resort to something like this, no one should shame you for it, and it seems like a really good solution for the people that use it.
Yeah. I mean,
like, honestly, I'm in favor of it. Am I like crazy for that? Am I a CCP shill?
Like, I mean, this is something we've had. I mean, people do these types of things in America, right? People do some type of thing where they can like go to a camp. It's like Scared Straight. Remember Scared Straight?
Yeah. And you know, calling it a prison, it's more of the psychological thing. They have the big concrete walls outside. They have barbed wire and electric fences, but it's not actually meant to keep you there on a mandatory basis. It's meant to make you feel that way. It's meant to make you feel like there's no escape.
Even if there's
you probably
like,
can't escape.
Even if there's like just a couple of extra steps just to make it feel like you can't just walk out the door.
Exactly. I was just listening to an interview with a guy who founded a service called Shift. And it's for reducing your screen time, basically. You can basically give his company the power to geofence your address so that you can't access social media in your own home. And this is a service that you pay for one time. It's not a subscription. It's a $99 payment one time. And then he also has another branch of his company that's free called Escape, which is for blocking porn from your devices permanently. And one thing that he addressed that makes his service unique from other ones, like there are plenty of, services that you can subscribe to for the screen time aspect of it, like Opal is one of them. But he said that the reason they're different is they don't have a backdoor where you can opt out of it. You have to make the one-time decision. If you reach out to their team and say that you don't want it anymore, they're not going to listen to you. Like that's the whole point. They're not going to give it back.
So do they
Your
sign,
only option
do you sign,
is to get a new device.
They have to sign like a waiver? Like to be like,
Basically,
you're not getting it back?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's totally legal because it's all in the terms and conditions. And it's not even a long thing to read. So they're allowed to do this. Your only option, if you want to go back to your old life of doom scrolling and watching porn, is to get a new device that isn't essentially, owned by them in a proprietary way.
That's crazy.
So, and yeah, it sounds crazy, but also like, I don't know, isn't the way things are currently also crazy?
Yeah.
Like the fact that we have this little computer in our pockets, like that's crazy. The fact that we are surrounded by, genetically engineered, hyper palatable food that barely even resembles food that was, that our ancestors ate, like that's kind of crazy. Maybe we need to adapt to the circumstances around us in ways that seem crazy.
Yeah.
Because our modern life is pretty crazy. So like, I actually think that this is not the doomsday fat prison it's being called by Westerners.
Well, the lady even says this in the article. She says the woman revealed she most looks forward to lunchtime, as it is when the most food is served, with average meals consisting of braised duck, lotus roots, stir-fried vegetables, raw carrots, and a banana. Like, nobody's eating that in America.
That sounds freaking delicious.
Yeah.
And she posted some pictures of the meals. They have steamed vegetables, bean curd, prawns.
Yeah, look at that right there.
It looks like, this is some really good stuff.
Yeah. Steamed, so you could do that here.
They're kind of living it. They're living it up in there.
Yeah. The American version of this is like, meal prepping. It's like the people who obsessively meal prep for the week.
In fact, one of the commenters said that the results were unimpressive. That she lost 8 pounds in 14 days. And they think that the results should be even more extreme. You can't, and they pointed out correctly, you can lose 4 pounds a week at home by going to the gym and changing your eating habits. But that's kind of the crux of the issue, right? You check yourself into a fat prison when you're past the point of changing your habits.
Yeah.
And you need you need a program essentially to step into that place for you, so that you can at least begin losing weight once you're out of there.
Plus, if you lose a bunch very, very fast, it comes back very, very fast. 8 pounds is good because really it's like 5 of that is water weight for the most part. Like your weight will fluctuate at night, before you go to bed and when you wake up. And if you lose too much too fast, you haven't actually gained any habits that help you keep the weight off. So you need to learn. You need to develop better habits over time.
I mean, I'm sure there are equivalent, adult fat camps in the U.S., but they probably are way more expensive.
Yes, I guarantee you.
I mean, I guess it just means like hiring a personal chef and a personal trainer and doing that in your own home, but that's prohibitively expensive for most people. So then they just turn to Ozempic instead.
So what do you prefer? They take the Ozempic here in America, or they go to the fat camp in fat prison in China?
Fat prison in China.
Absolutely.
Every time.
All right. Let's just move on. Let's go talk about what's going on with Knives Out, because this was a movie that you were about to watch over the break.
Yeah, a lot of people watch the Knives Out movies during Christmas time, and I noticed on Christmas Day, Knives Out 3 was, I think, the number 4 movie on Netflix on Christmas Day. And I was really disheartened to learn that once I actually started watching it. I watched the first 10 minutes before turning it off because I found it so disgusting and brazenly blasphemous and just, oozing with hatred for Christianity and specifically for Catholicism. That much I expect from Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And I found this opinion piece about Knives Out after watching the first 10 minutes to find out how it unfolds after the fact, because I wasn't willing to embed those images in my mind. And it's titled "The Complexity of Queerness and Catholicism in Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out Mystery." So I think you can expect exactly what Rian Johnson had for us in this movie.
We've got a 20 here. First, before we get into that, this one is from Matahu99, says, "I don't think people fully understand algorithms. I have friends and family that say that algorithms aren't meant to condition you and that we have full control over it on social media." I mean, that stopped being true the day they stopped doing the sequential timeline.
Yeah, that's... the point of the algorithm is that it's out of your control.
Yeah.
Like that's why it exists. People need to be more cognizant of that. So to explain what I saw before I shut off the movie, you do not see Benoit Blanc until you're about a half an hour into the movie. You start off with the story of this young priest named Father Judd, and he punches a deacon in the face as they're in the middle of a verbal altercation. And as a result, the bishop ships him off to another parish in a remote area that is run by an older priest who is Monsignor Wicks. And when he shows up, Wicks thinks that this young priest is there to take his parish from him. And they're immediately butting heads and in this kind of power struggle. And the first thing he asks of Father Judd is to hear his confession. And you hear Monsignor Wicks go into excruciating detail about his masturbation habits. And you can tell, obviously, he's using this to make Father Judd uncomfortable. That just alone, I don't like seeing a depiction of priests using vulgar language at each other, speaking, in such a vulgar way. I actually just don't think that they talk like that because nobody talks the way that Netflix characters talk. But most especially priests, these men who have dedicated their lives to God, I just don't think that they go around hurling vulgar insults at each other and talking about jerking off. I actually don't think that they talk like that. But then you go into the backstory of why is Monsignor Wicks?
Oh, please! Oh, please!
Thank you.
Yep, there we go.
I mean, I'll dance even.
There you go. I switched to Justin Bieber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the superior one.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, we are done. Hold on. Let's move on. Continue.
So part of his backstory is that his grandfather was also a priest after his wife died and was the priest at this parish. And his daughter, that is Monsignor Wicks's mother, wanted the inheritance from her father. When she found out after he died that the inheritance somehow disappeared or was donated to charity or something, she went into the church, and this is all depicted in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Okay.
She storms into the church, possessed by demons, jumping all over the place with supernatural strength, desecrating the entire church. She smashes a statue of the Virgin Mary on the ground. She takes a javelin and stabs it into the tabernacle. She grabs a crucifix that is probably heavier than her body weight off of the wall, smashes it on the floor. that's about when I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not watching this on Christmas, and I'm not watching this any day of the year because I just don't want these images to be in my mind. So, you know, here's what unfolds after the fact. According to this glowing review, of course, you know that journalists love stories like this.
We've actually got a $50 super chat with no message from Seer 1968, who I believe actually sent us $100 super thanks on one of our videos yesterday. So thank you very much, Seer. Continue.
Thank you so much. Silent strong type. In Ryan Johnson's latest Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man, it isn't just the murder suspects who are put under a microscope and scrutinized. Through Josh O'Connor's father, Judd, and the setting of a small-town Catholic church, Ryan Johnson unearths previously undiscovered layers of Benoit Blanc. This is Daniel Craig. As a result, this film delivers a poignant, personal story about the complex relationship between queerness and Catholicism. Now, just to clarify, there is no complex relationship between queerness and Catholicism. It's actually a very simple relationship, which is that homosexuality is forbidden by the Catholic Church. It's not complicated at all. Now, they go on to say, Wake Up Dead Man sets a record for the latest Benoit Blanc is introduced in a Knives Out film. It takes more than a half an hour before he waltzes into the picture. Instead, the opening act of the murder mystery follows Josh O'Connor's father, Judd. He's an earnest young priest, former boxer who willingly divulges to Benoit Blanc and his parishioners that he killed a man in the ring when he was 17. Though Judd has dedicated his life to serving Christ, he still has violent impulses. We learn this in the opening beats of the film as he pleads his case in front of a probationary council for punching a deacon who said something that was way out of line. By his own admission, he struggled with addiction, anger, and homelessness, but following Jesus has set him on a new path. When a priest at the probation hearing tells Judd that, quote, a priest is a shepherd, the world is a wolf, and that the church needs fighters, but to fight the world, not ourselves, Judd immediately disagrees, emphatically insisting that if you start fighting wolves before you know it, everyone you don't understand is a wolf. Really deep stuff. Deeply flawed, but seeking salvation, Father Judd represents everything a priest should be. According to someone who's not even religious,
Catholic,
let alone Catholic. Of course, you're going to tell us what a Catholic priest should be.
It's like when they tell you that Jesus was a socialist.
Right. Yeah, and an immigrant, an illegal immigrant.
I did see a post the other day for apparently there's going to be like a movie coming out called like The Death of Robin Hood. And and it was like about how Robin Hood was actually the bad guy. I'm like, well, of course you don't like Robin Hood. He stole from tax collectors. You want to tax everybody, you scumbags.
True. Yeah. After they already did their own fan fiction about Robin Hood.
Exactly.
But yeah, everything a priest should be: forgiving, honest, thoughtful, and perpetually open-hearted. Judd's empathetic approach to ministry is what catches the attention of Bishop Langstrom, who assigns him to serve as the assistant pastor to Monsignor Wicks, whose flock of parishioners is, quote, shrinking and calcifying. Though Judd doesn't initially understand why Langstrom is sending him to Wicks's parish in Chimney Rock, it becomes clear Monsignor Wicks is a cruel, vindictive man who leads his church with an iron fist, the diametric opposite of Judd. Wicks is cold and calculating. He crafts his sermons to single out new attendees. The film depicts a single mother, a gay couple, and a woman wearing a face mask, and preaching increasingly hateful, incendiary rhetoric until the newcomer gets up and walks out. Wicks isn't interested in helping parishioners find Christ. He is interested in growing his power and keeping them under his thumb. He views Judd's earnest desire to help the parishioners of Chimney Rock heal as a threat to his fear-mongering ministry. Wicks sees Judd's kindness and exploits it, pushing until Judd finally reacts with violence, which is what he first came to the church to get away from. Mm-hmm. Now, it basically implies that Father Judd is framed for Monsignor Wicks's murder, and Benoit Blanc shows up to find out who really did it. That's why it's a whodunit. Mm-hmm. But they end up calling him the killer priest because he's framed for the murder. The young priest with a dark past would be the perfect fall guy for Wicks's killing. But just like Marta Cabrera from Knives Out was a good nurse and Helen Brand from Glass Onion was a good sister, Father Judd is a good priest. So he does what a priest should, gets on his knees and prays. And lo and behold, seconds after, Judd asks Jesus to show him a path to absolution in waltzes Benoit Blanc. As we know, Benoit Blanc is an out and proud gay man who lives happily with a husband, played by Hugh Grant. He spends his free time blasting Skimbleshanks, the railway cat, and playing Among Us. But while Blanc may be memorable due to his eccentricities, the first two Knives Out films don't offer much in the way of insights into who Benoit Blanc is behind closed doors. He isn't changed by these mysteries. He's the one doing the changing. And because this is set in a church, they say both Judd and Benoit Blanc acknowledge there is an undeniable emotional potency present in a chapel, whether or not you're religious. It's impossible to be in a church and not feel something. And when Father Judd asks Benoit Blanc what he feels, he then cracks. His usual calm, collected self cracks, and he launches in to a passionate speech about the hypocrisy of the church, an institution he believes is riddled with malevolence, misogyny, and homophobia. A self-professed proud heretic, a gay man raised in the American Deep South by a very, very religious mother, Benoit Blanc sputters to offer more details on his religious upbringing beyond "it's complicated." But for any LGBTQ plus viewer raised in a religious household, it's not difficult to put the pieces together. It's an eerily familiar scene, struggling to explain the complex web of emotions being brought up in a religion that preaches love and forgiveness but practices hate. The brief exchange between Judd and Blanc feels unquestionably like the suave sleuth has ever been put under the microscope in a Knives Out film, and the raw emotional vulnerability immediately established between the priest and the detective is a dynamic that the ideological foundation of Wake Up Dead Man is built on. As a detective, Benoit Blanc can offer Judd absolution in the eyes of the law to clear his name, but we also spend Wake Up Dead Man watching Benoit Blanc watch Father Judd, how he interacts with his parishioners, how he reacts to a dead body, the kindness and grace that he offers to anyone he encounters. And by the end of the film, obviously, Benoit Blanc doesn't have a come to Jesus moment. He doesn't become a Christian. He doesn't, get baptized or anything like that. But he at least admires that Father Judd is the opposite of everything he thought that a priest was in his religious upbringing. And I just thought it was so telling that Father James Martin, who is a real non-fictional priest, notorious for spreading confusion about what the church actually teaches regarding sexuality, specifically homosexuality, he gave this movie an official review, 4 out of 5 callers. And specifically praised Josh O'Connor's performance as a compassionate priest. So he agrees with the media, the secular journalist commentariat class about the message of this movie. But I would actually give it 0 out of 5 callers. I do not think you should see it. And, some people would say that I should have given it a chance and I should have seen it through to the end. But honestly, I want to protect my conscience, and I don't want to remember an image of the Virgin Mary being shattered into a million pieces in my mind. You don't forget things. That's actually like the human brain does not forget anything. Everything is stored in your memory. So that's just not something I wanted to subject myself to on Christmas or any other day of the year.
I was looking up Rian Johnson's upbringing just to see if he had a history. There's no mention of religion or being raised in a religious household. A lot of times I assume that type of storytelling kind of hinges on their own commentary on what their life was like growing up. Doesn't mean he wasn't. Somebody who's like a Rian Johnson historian might be able to tell me whether he was or he wasn't, but at least nothing so much as that it's worth mentioning on his Wikipedia. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, I just was really not surprised at all to see that, though.
All right.
This is just what I've come to expect from any depiction of
Okay,
Christians, specifically Catholic priests from Hollywood.
So what? Better or worse than Conclave?
Oh, much worse, actually. And I would say, like, I still stand by this. Conclave was a really well done film. It was beautiful to look at. It was written in a way that kept me interested. And only the ending is what I object to. Although I knew what the ending was going to be because it's based on a novel. So that was no surprise.
Okay.
But, you know, I mean, I would definitely give Conclave more credit for at least trying to be accurate.
Okay. All right. Let's go finish up the super chats here. We got a bunch there. Here we go.
Shane H. Wilder said, I love dog-ear bookmarking, especially since I read mostly nonfiction. I can use it to go back to certain references.
There you go.
We're dog-ear bookmarking in 2026, guys. Sethington said, I love cheesy roll-ups with beef from Taco Bell. Is that a thing? I thought it was just cheese. I thought that was the point.
I mean, a cheesy roll-up with beef is just a soft shell taco.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff, different shapes. Greg Duvier said, let's go. Oat milk definitely needs to go. Yeah, people have rejected soy milk, but we need to reject oat milk, guys, because it's not, you might think based on the name that it's made of oats. It's not. It's basically just seed oils.
Unless, what if you're lactose? Isn't that something that they drink for if you're lactose intolerant?
True, but I have almond milk and I trust almond milk.
Okay.
Personally. Greg Duvier said, go see David. It is really good. It's been doing really well.
Yeah.
Have you seen the numbers on David?
I mean, it isn't breaking the top 5, but it doesn't need to at its budget. It was always going to do well over the holidays. That's the perfect time to release that movie.
I would say go see David instead of Zootopia 2. Corey Anderson said, what is a pregnant pause? Is Mary with child?
A pregnant pause is not Mary with child.
That is not what pregnant pause means. I think I realized how few people are literate. Shane H. Wilder said, damn it, Corey, I know you know pregnant pause. I thought we all did, but apparently not. Alejandro Reyes said, as I grow older, I become more sympathetic to Chinese tyranny. Don't we all? I mean, maybe not Brett, but I certainly do.
But they're not being tyrannical. It's you pay to go to the fat prison, okay? You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Oh, so what? You have to sign a few papers to leave. Big deal. Cool Video 101 said, hi guys, today is my 30th birthday. I've been having a great day. Fun fact, Mary was born 100 years after the Battle of Peking during the Boxer Rebellion in China in 1900. Wow.
Well, all right then.
Thank you. Thank you for that fun fact and happy birthday. I hope you have a good
birthday.
Day. Red Snow said these streamers are not real.
That is true.
It's true. They're not real, and nothing they're presenting to you is real. It is actually like I'm trying to impart this to you because it's good for your mental health to not take these things at face value and not get rage baited.
Well, yeah, one of the things that people were talking about was they said like that they bought it, that Clavicular, like in his thing was like that maybe he got shoved into some lockers, but no, the whole point is you can't buy that because if you're buying into the narrative, then you're ignoring the fact that this is just a TV show without a producer or it's just a guy with a phone.
Well, what I find really disturbing about Clavicular's whole lore, and like who knows how much of it is true, is that, you know, basically he had zero parental supervision as a teenager, and they just let him consume all of this content on social media, and then he ended up buying testosterone on the internet with whose money? Probably his parents' money at 14 years old, and has probably irreversibly made himself sterile as a result.
Not to mention the meth for weight loss, which is insane.
And the meth. Well, the meth is a more recent thing from the sound of it, but the testosterone alone is like, he said that his parents took it away from him. They tried to stop him, whatever, but they didn't take your phone away. Like, that's what they should have done. They should have taken internet access away from you before we got to this point. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Pop Culture Junkie said, last bearded president, Benjamin Harrison, 1993. Happy New Year to you both. So glad to see your smiling faces live again. Thank
18. You. I think it's 18.
It says 1993 on the super chat, but that must have been a typo.
Yeah, he was. I think it was 18. Was it like 1889 to 1893? So
got it.
Here's a picture of him with a beard. That's a full beard. That's a good looking beard right there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in the American consciousness where we don't trust bearded men these days. I think it might have something to do with our current Santa debates as well.
Maybe it's because they instinctually know that you're trying to hide a weak chin.
These days, yes. Maybe not back then, though.
I see my face from the side. Sometime I'm like, bro, you need to start looks maxing to like push that
start
chin
thumb pulling.
Yeah.
You heard of that one? That's a new one for me. Shane H. Wilder said, whatever happened to using your own tarded brain instead of a clanker to roast your friends? We used to be a proper country. Yeah, like, isn't banter a bonding experience, like, at least for men?
Yes.
Pulling out grok
Yeah.
is not the move.
Do not offload it to grok.
Yeah. Pop Culture Junkie said, most movie research... Oh, I
got that one. And his $2 one.
Robert Delara said, Happy New Year, Mary and Brett. Sydney Sweeney is not the problem. People go to the movies to be entertained by interesting stories. Christie was neither. People were not going to spend money on it.
That is true.
It was doomed from the start, but I think that she understood that it wasn't going to be commercially successful. It was a passion project for her.
Correct.
Robert Delara said, am I missing something? How do you get fat on Chinese food? I never saw a fat Chinese person. That's not true. Well, maybe, okay, we have to distinguish between American Chinese food and actual Chinese food.
Yeah, GM. Otherwise, you're going to have the, what is it, the MSG?
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, I went to China and I ate actual Chinese food, and it is not as dissimilar from American Chinese food as you would think. It's still very, like, it's fried food. It's like greasy. It's like a lot of rice, a lot of bread.
I do like sticky rice as opposed to like long grain rice though.
Same. Shane H. Wilder said, I don't care. I'll still drink matcha, but I tried Mary's Starbucks order at the beginning of my Christmas movie review video. It's dangerously good. I could drink 3 in an hour and watch my heart explode. Okay, I'm glad that somebody tried it out and vouched for me here, because I tell people that I have 5 shots of espresso in the morning and they look at me like I'm crazy.
I'm not gonna lie, like I now look forward to my coffee on the way to work more than just about any other part of my work day. I do. Like, have you ever seen the
balm for the spirits?
Have you ever seen the meme it's just like people tell me to give up coffee, but I don't want to kill myself?
Don't talk to me until I've had my coffee.
That's the way of the world. You like, it's part of my ritual now to drink my coffee on the way to work.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly healthy. Shane H. Wilder said, man, I'm glad I canceled Netflix. That is horrid and blasphemous. The only thing I watched on it all year was Wednesday, and that is on ad-free Tubi. Yeah, you can find pretty much anything on ad-free Tubi these days, so I don't really see why Netflix is necessary.
I am going to watch the new Ben Affleck and Matt Damon the Carnahan movie called The Rip, about these Miami detectives who are ripping off like money from drug dealers and shit like that. It looks really, really good. It looks like a mix between The Town and Training Day. That's how somebody compared it on X when I posted about it, and I think they're absolutely right. It looks good, but again, Netflix has like one movie a year that I like. In 2023, it was The Killer from David Fincher. In 2024, I think it was 2024, it was Carry On. And then this year, I guess I don't know if I had any in 2025 that I watched on Netflix, but those are the ones I liked. No,
you have Netflix?
No, Olivia's family has it, and if we're desperate to watch something, we'll use their account, but we do not.
That's what family's for.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. Shane H. Wilder said, I did not have Father James Martin being mentioned on PCC in my 2026 bingo card. Of course, he would give it a good review. Jesuits may already have a bad name, but he gives them a worse name. That much is true.
There's
Yes.
like some lore there that I clearly am not aware of.
Yeah, that's some inter-Catholic, you know, that's kind of a deep cut.
There's a 20 there from Pop Culture Junkie.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Ryan Johnson grew up in a devout evangelical Christian household. He later left the religion in his 20s. He views cinema as a modern day replacement for the spiritual uplift he once sought in church. Not sure I agree.
Well,
I'm not
okay.
sure I agree with that either. That's a really strange interpretation of the art form.
There you go.
Not that John Stewart said, "Hey, Brett and Mary, sup?
Sup?
What's up?"
How's it going?
No Control said, "We back. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Fairlife is my go-to milk, low sugar, and lasts much longer in the fridge." Okay, I think that I recommended this on the show before, but in case I didn't, I was on a kick for a while of getting a few shots of espresso over ice in a venti cup, and then the rest of the space, you just fill that with a protein shake, and you're good to go.
I actually was watching videos on Instagram of people putting protein shake Diet Cokes where they get like a big gulp Diet Coke and then they top it off with like a vanilla protein shake.
I'm not a fan of soda, but I'm sure if you are, that would be incredible.
Yep.
It's kind of like a protein float,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, it's like when Dua Lipa put the pickles in her Coke, in her Diet Coke.
Yeah, I do see a lot of like the high protein ice cream at the grocery store, and it's like $12 a pint. Not worth it.
Nope.
Corey Anderson said one could say elongated pause to avoid confusion. Okay, but that's not descriptive of what a pregnant pause is. It's called a pregnant pause because it's filled with meaning. If it's just saying that it's an elongated pause, it could be there for any or no reason. That's why people call it a pregnant pause. I'm sorry. I'm getting on a soapbox.
That's okay. All right, guys. Before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Again, please and thank you. Remember to share the episodes out with everybody that you know. We want more people to check out the show now that we are back live. So thank you guys so much for that. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
We've got one more here from High Voltage 75. Says, since it's a new year, can we get a quick State of the Union for PCC? Going forward, Mary is Monday, Wednesday, Friday only, right? Yes, that is true. Does that mean Brett solo Tuesday, Phil still Thursday, still planning on having guests again? So yes, for as of right now, it's Mary will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I will not be solo on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think those shows are just too boring. I don't think I'm interesting enough. So tomorrow, Nina Infinity will be joining me on the show, and then I'm working out Thursday as well. So we will still be trying to have guests remote on those days in the future. What I'm hoping to do, and it should work out that way if all things go forward, is that Colonel Kurtz will be my regular Tuesday guest on the show, and then Thursdays will switch off back and forth. Obviously, schedule pending for her. Maybe there might be some weeks that she can't do it, some weeks she can. But my hope that what we've planned is that she will be the regular Tuesday guest, and then Thursdays we will switch off. Maybe it will be Nina Infinity again going forward. Perhaps Mike Harlow. There's a lot of people that we can have on those days, but the hope is to continue live Monday through Friday. I do not believe Phil will be a guest in studio now that they're out doing what they're doing. Ah, and we got a crisis party.
Put a girl on.
Thank you.
Loudest one out of all of that.
You've changed it 3 times? Thank you, guys.
That one was from Carter.
We have a couple more. Shane
Go
H.
for it.
Wilder said, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, Brett. I didn't mean to leave you out with the Catholic inside joke.
That is okay.
Yeah,
You can.
that's some deep lore that we are not going to be explaining right now.
That is all right.
Corey Anderson said, pregnant pause sounds like taking time off due to pregnancy.
A little bit.
You're just not right. You need to brush up on this. This is not your strong suit, Corey.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. The lights are still going in here, which is a fitting way to end the show. Guys,
Amazing.
if you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram. Was that all of them? We got through all of them, right?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah, I'll just double check here. Yes, guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. Remember, we will be here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch this show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see you then. Later, everybody.
Bye.